Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Dr. Bilal Ahmed Khan, and today we will be we'll be starting this course on Introduction to Programming using C++, a step-by-step approach. Um, this course is a very basic level course, and it involves very basic understanding of how the programming is done. And although we'll be using C++ as the programming language, but we'll be covering this some very basic topics which are actually involved in any programming language. So any person who or anyone who does not have any prior knowledge of programming can actually go through the series of these lectures, and they can understand or they grab an understanding of how the programming is done. So let us see the contents of the course. First of all, we'll see that why programming is done, what are the different applications of the programming. Then we'll be seeing how to develop the logic. Within this section, we will be actually seeing the flowcharts as well as the pseudocodes, which would help in developing the algorithms. Then we'll be seeing the memory management section, in which we will discuss in detail about the data types, the variables, and the relationship of these data types and variables on the memory management. How can we actually create a program which is memory efficient, and how does the memory occupation can affect the memory will be actually covered in this particular section. Then we actually would see the preprocessor directives as well as the predefined libraries. Although I'll be mentioning more or less the C++ related predefined libraries or the preprocessor directives, but the predefined libraries or preprocessor directives are usually used in other programming languages as well. After that, we'll be actually seeing the operators, which involves the relational operator, logical operator, arithmetic operator, assignment operator, and increment, decrement operator. So these operators are usually used within the syntax, where we'll be actually seeing the basic syntax of C++, because most of the people do have a difficulty in writing the basic syntax. What are the different rules and regulations of writing C++ code, because it is case sensitive language, how it is written. So this would be covered in basic syntax of C++, whereas we will be developing some of the very basic programs over here, which would involve the relational operator, arithmetic operator, assignment operator, and increment and decrement concepts over here within these programs. So later on, we'll actually see the conditional statements, which would be involving the if, else, and else if, the switch case, the nesting of conditions, including the if, else, and else if, as well as the switch case. Then using the logical operators within the conditions, which means that more than one conditions can actually be tested using the logical operators. And how can we actually, what would be the particular output of that? So we would be actually seeing this in this particular section. Then we'd be covering loops. Within loops, we'd be seeing while loop, for loop, do while loop, and then how to nest with a loop. What are the nested loops? So moving onwards, then functions. Why functions are required would be actually covered in this. Why do we require functions? How do the functions work? Can we actually call the function? Where should we define the function? What are the arguments, or what are the parameters? How the arguments can be actually assigned to the parameters? So all these concepts will be covered in these two sections. Whereas the function by value, passing the arguments to the parameters by value or the reference, would be actually covered over here. Then the basic understanding of the arrays would be covered in one-dimensional array. Of course, we'll cover this thing in very much detail. And then we will actually see the two-dimensional arrays over here. Okay, so the last is the pointers. So this would actually give you the basic understanding of what the pointers are, what is the relation of the addresses, and how can the addresses be and how do the pointers actually link to the addresses? So and how can these pointers be used? So we are going to actually cover this particular section. Now, uh, let's actually start our next session, which is basically introduction of the programming, and let's see how do the things how can we actually program in the further lectures, right? So stay tuned for the next rest of the videos. Thank you very much.